Arne Slot is a brave man. There is no doubt about that. We have seen him make big and bold decisions. We saw him, in fact, do it during his first game in the Premier League at Portman Road when he was ready to make a big, decisive action. There is no doubt that he is a manager that is prepared to take risks, but the risk that he took last night really did shock me. Off the back of 4 consecutive defeats, he took what is probably his biggest gamble ever. He dropped Mohamed Salah. Now, I know a lot of Liverpool fans who will be watching this video will be saying that should have happened a long time ago, that it wasn't a particularly difficult decision, that in fact it wasn't a gamble at all, Rory. You don't watch him week in, week out like we do. Now, what I would say to that is, fine, I defer to your superior knowledge on Liverpool. You are Liverpool fans, you watch your club every week, you go to Anfield, you dedicate your life following that club. I hold my hands up. But in practice, dropping Mohamed Salah is very different to suggesting dropping Mohamed Salah. Him actually taking him out of the team is the kind of decision that can make or break your managerial career. And quite frankly, when I saw the lineup, I couldn't believe it. I rated it. I liked it. I admired it. I am so bored of managers who constantly pick on reputation over form. The Gareth Southgate model, picking players because of their name and their past exploits rather than because of what we have seen them do in the recent fixtures. But it would be very easy for me to sit here now and say that it was an easy decision to make. It would be very easy for me to sit here now and try and take the plaudits. I obviously believe that it would be the right decision to drop Mohamed Salah. I'm a football oracle. I think dropping Mohamed Salah was obviously going to result in a 5-1 win. I didn't. Being completely honest with you, it felt wrong to me. Dropping Mohamed Salah from a Liverpool lineup. Mohamed Salah is the man for the big occasion, playing away from home in Europe in what could be seen on some level as a must-win fixture. Liverpool can't go 5 games without a win. How do you make sure that doesn't happen? How do you make sure that Liverpool do not lose 5 games in a row? You start your icon. You start a man who has scored more goals for Liverpool than some genuine legends at the club. Salah has scored more goals for Liverpool than Robbie Fowler. Salah has scored more goals for Liverpool than Luis Suarez. Fowler has scored more goals for Liverpool than Roger Hunt. Salah has scored more goals for Liverpool than Billy Liddell. Surely, if you need goals in a game, a big game, a game in Europe, you play Salah. And therefore dropping him in the way that Arne Slot did. Rotating him, if you don't like the word dropping. It was big. It was brave. And ultimately, it was incredibly successful. So the question now is, where do Liverpool go from here? I'm terribly sorry to interrupt this video. I really hope that you're enjoying it. Let me know your thoughts on Salah in the comments below. And please do me a favour, if you're enjoying it, click subscribe. I would love to welcome you into this community. It really does help me out. And also, give this video a like and some hype points. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the video. Slot picked a new team. He picked a new formation. And Liverpool won by the biggest margin that they have won since they won the league last year, the 27th of April. That was Liverpool's most emphatic win since the 27th of April. So now, Slot has a real decision to make. The manner in which Liverpool won makes this such a hard decision for Slot. The ruthlessness, the scoreline, the set-piece goals, the fact that Florian Wirtz got 2 assists, the fact that Hugo Ekitike is scoring goals for fun and looking like a complete centre-forward. The form of Cody Gakpo. Liverpool shutting off chances, giving Frankfurt basically nothing. This new formula, it works. This new system, it works. But amazingly, this new winning formula that Arne Slot has invented does not include Mohamed Salah. So what does Arne Slot do? Brentford, this weekend, is a bigger game than Frankfurt. Now, let me just qualify that. I'm not for 1 second suggesting that Brentford are a bigger club than Frankfurt. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that they are a bigger challenge. I am, however, suggesting that the competitions are different and therefore the jeopardy increases. Liverpool simply must beat Brentford. They cannot lose again in the Premier League. They must use the result in Europe as a catalyst for new form in the domestic league. If it hadn't gone their way playing against Frankfurt, if they had been beaten by Frankfurt, I still believe that Liverpool will have progressed in that competition. In fact, there's basically no jeopardy. They would have progressed in that competition, even if they had lost to Frankfurt. The Premier League is not like that. Liverpool cannot afford any more slip-ups. The jeopardy involved in this game is through the roof. Liverpool, quite frankly, must win. Their title credentials hang on it. The dream that Liverpool fans have of retaining a league title, the first time that they would have retained a league title since the mid-80s. It all hangs on a game against Brentford. And for that reason, the game against Brentford is bigger. Brentford are also a very talented team. That's not me saying that Frankfurt aren't. Frankfurt are. But let's just think about the position that Frankfurt are in. The 2 main strikers that propelled them to where they were in recent years have both gone to Premier League clubs. Hugo Ekitike scored against them last night. They aren't quite the force. I'm not saying that Brentford are, but Brentford are a wily team. They are an established Premier League team. They are a clever team who will look to exploit weaknesses in this Liverpool team. Liverpool haven't been great with set pieces. Of course, we saw them score 2 last night, but they have been slightly vulnerable and they haven't been particularly threatening in the Arne Slot reign. Brentford will be looking to find a way, to find an angle to make Liverpool pay for that. Now, I was quite scathing about the appointment of Keith Andrews. I didn't think that it was a wise one and I didn't think it would be successful. Time will tell how that prediction works out. But what I will admit is it's going better for Brentford than I thought. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Brentford could do something. They've already taken points off Manchester United. They've already taken points off us. So there is a world where it could happen. And Arne Slot needs to now create the formula to make sure that that doesn't happen. And he needs to do it without any thought of reputation, without any thought of wages, without any thought of legacy. He simply needs to pick the best team to win that game. And I can't believe what I'm about to say here. I think he needs to leave Mohamed Salah out. I just can't believe that it has come to this. Because like I say, I've constantly been arguing that Mohamed Salah is the answer. Whatever the question you were going to ask about Liverpool, Mohamed Salah is the answer. The reason Liverpool will ultimately end this losing run is Mohamed Salah. The reason that Liverpool could easily still win the Premier League is Mohamed Salah. The reason that Liverpool could easily win a double and win the European Cup as well is Mohamed Salah. But something has gone wrong. And there was almost a coming-of-age moment for me. You know, that kind of like line in the sand, light bulb moment, the epiphany. When I watched Mohamed Salah miss chances, both at Stamford Bridge, that miss off the back of that glorious Florian Wirtz assist. If that goes in, we're talking about Liverpool in a completely different way. If Florian Wirtz's pirouette assist ends up in an assist and a goal for Salah, we're talking about Wirtz in a different way. We're potentially talking about the league table in a different way. We're talking about Salah in a different way. And then we saw Salah do exactly the same against Manchester United. The time has come. But that's just my opinion. I don't have to do it. We have the luxury of talking about football. It's what we want to do. It's the dream, isn't it? We get to just discuss it, put our theories forward, and there's actually nothing riding on it. Arne Slot has to make this decision. And leaving Mohamed Salah out in Frankfurt, I think it can be considered understandable. You can rationalise it, and on some level it makes sense. But leaving him out of consecutive games, leaving him out of a game against Brentford in the Premier League, a must-win game against Brentford off the back of leaving him out in Europe, that becomes a real talking point. It becomes a statement. And what statement do you want to make? Maybe the statement is good. Maybe the statement is strong. Maybe the statement is simply this. Nobody, not King Kenny, not Virgil van Dijk, literally nobody has a God-given right to play for Liverpool. Playing for Liverpool is an honour. Having a liver bird upon your chest is an honour. Walking out and seeing that this is Anfield's sign is an honour. And it is only bestowed upon the most deserving. At things stand at the moment, at this present time, it's crazy to say, but Mohamed Salah is not the most deserving of that shirt. And therefore, maybe it makes total sense to omit him. Everybody must elevate their performance to the requisite level or you are out of the side. It really is as simple as that. Now, look, I don't want to pin all of Liverpool's recent problems on Mohamed Salah. That's not fair, it's not accurate, and it's not true. But when you have Hugo Ekitike, Cody Gakpo, Florian Wirtz creating assists, when you see Liverpool score 5 goals away from home in Europe, suddenly it feels like there's no real compelling argument that you can put forward to start Salah. There is no immediate desperation to recall him. If Liverpool couldn't score without him on the pitch last night, maybe we'd get Salah back in the team. It was an experiment. You tried something. You can rationalise why you did it. It's a noble thing to do to take him out of the team, to make the statement that there is nobody who is beyond dropping. But it didn't work. It did work. Scored 5 goals. They're 5 different goal scorers. Florian Wirtz coming off the right looked good. That midfield looked so much more balanced. Up front as a 2, we know that Isak is injured. But when he isn't, Ekitike and Isak as a front 2 with Wirtz behind, there is something about that. There is something quite intimidating about that. And look, we know it can work. Isak's obviously the type of centre-forward that can play in a 2. We've seen him play out wide for Newcastle. We know that he is a giving striker, a generous striker. We know that he's a kind of striker that will allow others to shine. And Hugo Ekitike played in a front 2 with Marmoush at Frankfurt. So both Isak and Ekitike are capable of playing in a front 2. Maybe that's what they need. This front 3 that they've been doing since it was Klopp's system, Since it was Firmino, Salah and Mane, it's only been reworked. It's only had a little bit of change since to become, at one point, Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz, and now Ekitike or Gakpo and Isak. Maybe it is time for Arne Slot to actually work out the best team. There is no doubt that he has been provided with a vast array of talent, an incredible squad, Galactico-like almost. But his responsibility, regardless of expense, regardless of reputation, regardless of wages, regardless of any consideration, his responsibility is to create the best team. And maybe we are now in a situation where Mohamed Salah is no longer in that. There's actually a Liverpool parallel here. There's actually a Liverpool parallel that we can draw. When the signing was made, when all these signings arrived, and like I say, it was Galactico-like, I remember people were saying that it was similar to the Kenny Dalglish era. When Peter Beardsley arrived, Peter Beardsley would be the Florian Wirtz. Then Alexander Isak arrived, and John Aldridge was going to be the Alexander Isak, or Alexander Isak was going to be the John Aldridge. That's how this window was seen. And you think about the player that Beardsley was and the player that Aldridge was and what they won at Liverpool. That was what this window was mirrored to. But I wonder actually if there is more of a direct comparison to a Benitez window off the back of winning the European Cup. Remember, they had a good window. Peter Crouch, Pepe Reina, Momo Sissoko, and it actually led to a situation that wasn't particularly harmonious. They got launched out of the League Cup early. They weren't having a particularly impressive time of it in the league. And then Benitez worked out a system. It was unpopular, but it worked. Do you know what he did? Off the back of what we saw Steven Gerrard do the previous year in the European Cup final, he moved Steven Gerrard out wide. Now, again, I don't agree with the decision. I think if you have Steven Gerrard, one of literally the best footballers to have ever lived. If you have Steven Gerrard at your club, you build a team around him and you keep him central. Benitez disagreed. And you can't really argue with it, because that year they put Gerrard out wide, they go on an amazing run, they accrue more points than they have ever accrued up until that point in the Premier League, they win the FA Cup, and Gerrard's playing out wide, and Mohamed Sissoko, Xavi Alonso, do you remember it was that period then a bit later, Mascherano came in, and Liverpool fans, I remember being at Anfield, Liverpool fans singing that song, we got the best midfield in the world, we got Xavi Alonso, Mohamed Sissoko, Gerrard and Mascherano. They did that by putting Gerrard out wide. A wild statement. Arguably the world's best central midfielder at the time was put out wide. But on some level it worked. Liverpool nearly won the league, and they did win the FA Cup. Now this rejigging, it quite often works. It can be unpopular, but it can also be effective. Now, with regard to Florian Wirtz, one of the reasons that Florian Wirtz signed for Liverpool was because he wanted to play as a number 10. One of the major reasons that he ended up at Liverpool and not Bayern Munich was because he wanted to play as a number 10. And the opportunity for him to do that at Bayern Munich wasn't really there when you think about the players that they have who can play in that position. And as a result, it felt like Liverpool was his most natural destination. I'm not for 1 second saying that that was the only reason, but it was a factor. He wanted to play as a number 10. That hasn't really worked. So maybe Florian Wirtz is going to have to fall on his sword and end up playing out wide in the territory that would have once been totally occupied by Mohamed Salah. Florian Wirtz playing out wide, particularly when Liverpool aren't in possession, it was effective. He then comes in, there's more space out wide, it's less congested, he can kind of see what's going on in front of him more, he's not going to have a man behind him all the time, and he can drift in, and when Liverpool are in possession, all of a sudden, it becomes Ekitike, Isak, Wirtz behind, with the solidity of Jones combined with Szoboszlai, who I think both have to play, and then you've obviously got Gravenberch in there. Whether McAllister is in the team is another difficult decision to make. And for me, he wouldn't be. I think Curtis Jones is an excellent player. I think he brings so much to the Liverpool team. And I would say, if I were a Liverpool fan, that Jones needs to be in it. What he brings to that Liverpool team, that Scouse edge, is so valuable. We've seen him do it time and time again. Think about what he did at Goodison Park. You know, when it all went off in front of the Liverpool fans, he was there. Think about what Jones did to Trent Alexander-Arnold on the bus. He just gets it. And having somebody like him around that team who knows what it takes, knows what it means to play for Liverpool, I think it's so important. But Wirtz out wide, it could be the solution. So Wirtz out wide, drifting in, he can work his magic from afar and then get involved as and when. Ekitike can obviously play anywhere across the front line. De Geezer is clearly a superstar in the making, and what a signing he has turned out to be, by the way. And he actually feels the easiest. You know, with Wirtz, we have to really have a conversation about where does he fit, where does he sit, where does he suit. With Ekitike, he just looks like a total footballer to me. Clearly can play anywhere across the front three. Clearly could play up front on his own. Clearly could play up front in the two. Clearly should be starting for Liverpool. And is just a class act. Like, no doubt he will be starting for France very, very soon. And in Cody Gakpo, they probably have their most consistent performer. Always good for a goal, Cody Gakpo. So the options are there. And as we discuss it and as we talk about it in this video, I'm becoming more and more convinced that dropping Salah is actually the right thing to do. With Gakpo being a consistent threat, with Ekitike being a superstar, with Wirtz looking far more comfortable and actually accruing his first assist for the club out wide, and with Isak to come back to fitness, Mohamed Salah has to play his way back into the team. And that is a brilliant, brilliant situation for Liverpool, because for him to get back into the team, he makes himself indispensable. He makes himself undroppable. It means that when he gets an opportunity, he comes on, he scores goals. It means that the conversation has to be, well, you can't drop Salah because he's come on and scored 2 goals. Which means if somebody else wants to keep their place in the team, they need to be doing that. And therefore, everybody gets better and better. If Wirtz wants to keep his place in the team, he needs to outscore Salah. If Salah wants his place, he needs to outscore Wirtz. If Wirtz wants his place again, he needs to outscore Ekitike. And everybody should be building. There's also a conversation to be had about Alexander Isak. Now, I know he's injured, and that's a shame for him. I think it's another new injury, Slot said. It's his groin now. But he missed a couple of chances again. Missed a couple against Manchester United, didn't he? One in particular that he dragged wide. It's just not the way that he plays. When he hits the ball, he hits it so crisply. And he's just not doing that. And there were also missed chances against Frankfurt. So he is now injured, which in a way eases the problems for Slot, because he's just not an option. So now you're focusing on Ekitike and who? It's just so difficult. It's so difficult for Arne Slot. And I do concede that all of the arguments that I make for Mohamed Salah are based on yesterday, the player that he has been at Liverpool for the past 8 years. It's just, I stand by the point that I'm not ready to say that it's over. I still believe that when Liverpool need a goal at the most crucial of moments, Mohamed Salah will deliver it. And the reason that I know that, the reason that I can say that, is because I have seen it time and time and time again. This time last year, we were talking about the potential of Mohamed Salah being the best player in the world, winning a Ballon d'Or, and we were not wrong. Cumulatively, he has deserved one. And therefore, I'm just not ready to say that it's over. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not going well enough. I totally agree that Arne Slot is right to drop him. I don't think he should play him in Brentford. I came into this video actually thinking that I was going to say that he should start against Brentford, but the more that we talk about it, the more that we talk about Gakpo, Wirtz, Ekitike and the options that Liverpool had, the balance in the team, it all feels so much better without Mohamed Salah. But there is no doubt about it that he is still going to be a force. Anyone talking about giving him the contract was a mistake and maybe we've seen the best of him or maybe it's the end, I'm just not ready to write that man off. There is no doubt about it. By every single metric, Liverpool have an overall better squad now. Arne Slot just needs to work out the best ingredients for the first team. But I am convinced that Slot wants Salah there, sees him as a bonus, and has plans for him to feature. It's weird, isn't it? Having this chat. You know, Father Time catches up on us all. I just don't think that it's time for Salah yet. He will have a big season for Liverpool, and he will feature heavily, I'm sure. Time will tell. Time will tell. And I am very interested to hear your thoughts on this. So please do me a favour. Let me know where you sit on this debate. Do you think Arne Slot was right to drop Salah? Do you think that he should continue in this vein and not start him against Brentford? Or do you think maybe being dropped from a European fixture could invigorate Salah? He will look like a man rejuvenated when Liverpool next play in the Premier League against Brentford. Let me know your thoughts. I am always very interested to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a like. Please click subscribe. And I will see you on the other side in a bit.